have discovered that the Derry public transport system is now working, and would you please welcome Bronagh Gallagher.
Good evening, good afternoon.
Yep.
Is it afternoon? It is.
Some more if you need.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome along. I was blaming the Derry public transport system for your lateness.
Well, it was City Cabs let us down there an hour ago, so we were running late. It was all good. It was a busy day.
Yeah.
Everybody's running around. No, it's good.
Yeah. So, like, aside from playing last night in the Glassworks, you know, you've also been kind of like working as a bit. You've been double jobbing as well. I've noticed from the daily schedule, doing interviews, conducting interviews, like out asking questions and stuff like that as well, haven't you?
Yes. I think just last week the BBC came on board the Other Voices train, and they decided that they would like to show it also on BBC Ulster. So they, Mike Edgar and the team said, well, we would like northern representation for the presentation. So they asked me to present the sort of Derry, the Derry leg of Other Voices. So myself and Aidan sort of are co-presenting, and so he does a wee interview with the artist, and then I do a wee interview, so they'll cut between that. So it's just lovely. It was lovely to be asked. A great honour to be asked, obviously.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Aidan Gillens?
I am. I know Aidan from I was 17. We worked in the Abbey Theatre together, and we did a Tom Murphy play called The Patriot Game. And I was telling him the other day that Mammy and Daddy framed the poster of The Patriot Game. It was the Plough and the Stars of The Patriot Game, and it was because it was the Abbey Theatre, obviously it's the National Theatre. And they framed it, so his photo has hung in our house for about 23 years. It's lovely, isn't it? You know, when you photos and that. Do you know that you're up in our hall? So we're good friends, and he's a great lover of music. And it's funny because over the last few years, you know, obviously he would obviously travel a lot, but he often will just show up at the gig. You know, in the middle of nowhere, you just look out and there he is in the audience. So it's a great day. No, he's a great man. Great man.
Let's bring it all back home, Bronagh. You know, back to you know, here where it all began. What were your first musical memories?
Jackie Wilson, Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher, and it was my brother and I were just obsessed with this single. It was a wee single that Mammy and Daddy had. I'm not sure what the label was, but it was like a dark sort of aqua blue record, and it looked really beautiful as well, although thick 45. So I think it was that groove, and I was probably about 4, and Paul and I used to play it in the house every Sunday. For some reason, Sunday, obviously, people, you know, day off work. My parents were incredibly, you know, well versed in their soul and country, so we did have a really special record collection, I think, growing up. And, you know, they weren't huge readers and, you know, not big sort of huge TV watchers, so it was always music. Yeah. So that's the kind of music that was played in the house. So it was obviously, you know, Al Green, Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, James Brown, and Neil Sedaka and Bobby Darin. My daddy loved Buddy Holly, and, you know, so obviously, you know, I was very well taught, very well tutored, and country, Dolly Parton, who's a master songwriter, you know. Yeah. So yeah.
Did your mother and father play music as well?
No.
So it's just they were fans.
No one else plays or sings. My grandfather, my mum's dad, was a great crooner. He loved singing, you know. But no, it was I just love it. I'm still as excited about records as I was then. You know, it's annoying to people, and I know it's annoying, and that's all right.
It's never annoying to talk about an obsession.
But I think it is. You know, if you're in a room and I'm playing records and there's a certain sound of an album, I can't understand why people aren't as obsessed with the sound of it. I just kind of go. And when you find an ally, like last night, Little Stevie from the Little Green Cars, the band that were on us before us, he's a soul freak as well. So he sort of come up to me and he sort of, you know, it's like he's speaking Klingon, and, you know, and the two of us just sat there and I was like, I love you, let's get a flat. So we literally were like, just let's just get, not on any, you know, romantic level, just on, you know, do you know James? Yeah, I know him, Jesus. You know, the two of us, okay, hold on a minute. And it is, you know, and my friends go, oh, Jesus, stop. You know, so you become, Yeah, and it is. It's just it is an obsession now.
Yeah, it's no. I always think obsessions are good, especially if they carry on for your entire life. You know, I've got this theory about certain people. The majority of people, they see a stop sign in their late 20s, and they may be obsessive about music up to that point, but they see the stop sign and the job or relationship takes over, and they're not really interested in music that much. But it's the people who go right past the stop sign and keep going. They're the obsessives. They're the good people.
Funny. I had the conversation. I was coming home in the airport. At Christmas, I love the airport, and I was coming home and my friend Maria Doyle Kennedy, who's
Great woman.
obviously an amazing woman. She rang me. She was back, and we had a lovely chat on the bus. And she was asking me, we had a gig in London after Christmas, and you always have these huge aspirations, and obviously, you know, we're allowed to have ambitions, and you know, but you can be incredibly vulnerable even on a gig or at a gig. And sometimes the downer afterwards was, you know, like a big, you know, you're obviously very heightened in your mind, and you wanted to work well. And for whatever reasons, I didn't enjoy the gig. You know, it was a sort of a scenario that was going on, and I just felt kind of a bit raw on the stage. And then about 2 or 3 days later, you know, you just feel really, right, that didn't go the way I wanted, but that's life. You know, it's part of being a human being. And I said to Maria, what I think is now the focus and the matter in hand is keep going. And there is nothing as cool and nothing as sexy as somebody that keeps going and does not sit with her head in a pint going, I could have been somebody, you know, the classic line. And I've only admiration for musicians and artists, any human being, doesn't matter if you're in this business at all, that that doesn't let a series of incidents or one incident that breaks their heart give up, you know, because it's in that standing up straight again where the strength is found, you know, and your integrity. And you look at people like, you know, different artists through the years that you look at and you think, oh, what happened to them? Or, you know, people that you just love and admire. And recently, really just being fascinated, but always have been, but just really just sitting back going, my God, he's so cool. Bruce Springsteen. Because he's the ultimate, you know, I mean, he's such a legend, obviously, and the career that he spanned, you know, it's 40 years you're looking at now. But ultimately, he's an incredible performer, and he gets out in front of an audience, and you're never not going to have a good time at a Bruce Springsteen gig. You know, he's out there, he rock for 3 hours, and there's no controversy, there's no internalising, and obviously whatever's, you know, he's a human being, but, you know, with Dylan and Van Morrison, other, you know, huge loves, you never know, are they going to be in a good mood, you know? And that's not, as my father keeps saying to me, at the end of the day, you're an entertainer, you know, so people don't want you to be introspective, and obviously people are, but, you know, people want to escape, they want to get out, they want to be entertained. So from the sort of downer gig at Christmas, I just said to myself, right, that's it now. What's the point in wasting all that energy, flying your band and putting it all together? If you don't enjoy it, you know, get over yourself. You're the one that's on the way, so get out of that. So I want to be Bruce Springsteen.
It's interesting what you say about, like, you know, that's Bruce Springsteen as the great entertainer. I mean, to me, he's the last showman on earth. You know, they're not building them anymore. But what's really interesting was in recent interviews, like, he's been talking about depression. He's been talking about like, and you never see that in the music. And like the Springsteen fans to read about him being prescribed antidepressants and all that, it's been like, what? You know, it's incredible. He's kept all that away. You know,
I think a certain amount. I mean, I think, you know, you must, you know, have your privacy. You know, you must, you know, you can only be exposed so much. You know, you must have that. You know, because then there's no sort of, you know, I think the greatest thing a human being can achieve is happiness on their own, you know, being in a room on your own and being content with who you are, and that you don't want for whatever the next thing is that you want, you know, and really is the great sort of the Buddhist philosophy to just be, you know, to just be happy with yourself. So I think, you know, I can only imagine the highs and lows that somebody like Springsteen must have experienced. I mean, if you're going to play to 120,000 people every couple of nights, you know, and you're really at the top of your game, you cannot get any higher, you know. Then somebody said to me recently, keep your empire small and perfectly formed, you know. So I think it's more to do with no matter how big it is, always know that you'll go home at night and have the cup of tea and chill out, you know what I mean? And that the extremities don't really work in this game, you know. And the vulnerability and the sort of the human aspect of stuff a lot of the time does not match onto the talent. You know, Amy Winehouse, sort of a huge example, were a phenomenal, exceptional talent. But then whatever personal makeup
Yeah.
wasn't as capable of, you know, being as, obviously, whatever, the girl, you know, I didn't know the girl. But,
She's a very fragile soul.
and that fragility, you know, you kind of hope that people will get over that and find a time to just enjoy your life, you know,
Yeah.
enjoy your, if you have a talent like that, to be able to
Yeah.
enjoy it, you know. And I think that's the key. I think the key is never underestimate the sensitivity of an audience or people's intelligence, you know. People are, a lot of the time, directors or, you know, people you work with really want to spell things out. And I say, you know, don't, you know, people get it. You don't have to say anything. People just feel it, you know. So I think that's what's a great privilege of being an entertainer, that you can connect with people. It doesn't have to be, you know, a big deal.
Yeah. At what age do you think you kind of decided you were going to be an entertainer? What age did it kind of hit you in your stomach? Okay, I'm going to be singing for a living. I'm going to be acting for a living. When did that become kind of abundantly clear?
When I was playing the gingerbread queen in the Nazareth House primary school, and I put my hand up to play the toy soldier because I really fancied the costume. Because it was wee, you know, patent shoes and a wee pair of blue trousers, something like I'm wearing now, and the wee top hat, and I thought I'll have a go of that. And I was only 4, but I put my hand up. I was too busy talking to someone. I put my hand up, and I got the part as the queen. And I wore my sister's confirmation dress, no, first Holy Communion dress, and I was out on the stage, and my mother actually made all the costumes for the school play, and I remember singing. I remember my song too. It was "One day in the palace of the king, the chef did a marvelous thing." I remember it. And I just loved the attention. I just thought, oh, this is for me. I remember the audience, and I was like, I just felt great. So it's the danger of it, if it can go anywhere, yeah. So from then I was 4 probably.
Yeah. Can you remember your first band?
That I was in?
Yeah.
Probably in the living room, maybe Louise and Paul, a few tennis rackets. But, you know, do you know what's great though, when kids do a show, you know, we're putting on a show for you. So we did a show every Sunday in the house. And we would put on a wee bit of an hour. Well, I would direct it and tell my sister and brother what to do, because I got my own back, because we'd always do Starsky and Hutch as well up my mum and daddy's bed, and we'd jump in the bed on a Sunday. But they were always Starsky and Hutch, and I was always Huggy Bear. And I always wanted to be Starsky or Hutch, but they kind of convinced me that it was okay that I was Huggy Bear, and they just beat me up.
Yeah.
But then the first band I think it was in Derry was a band called The Listener. It was a wee mod band, and it was great. Yeah, it was a chick singer.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's really interesting you said about being a mod band. You know, one thing I suppose all us outsiders have noticed about Derry is you've still got your youth tribes here. I mean, there's a couple of skinheads hanging around there earlier on. There was a couple of rockabillys last night. Mods. It's incredible. Those tribes are still there. You know.
Oh, aye.
So why do you think that's so? Why do you think those kids are still there? Because I don't see them anywhere else. I go.
Really, well, it's obviously the infrastructure of the city is small enough. You would see that. I think music. You know, I mean, there's always been. Well, I mean, people say, oh, it's a real northern thing, you know, but I mean, obviously punk and, you know, psychobilly. I mean, I was a psychobilly, rockabilly. I loved it, you know, for years, getting into the hardcore kind of, Demented Argo and the Meteors. But I suppose it's a way for young people to express themselves, you know, and I think that's hugely important that kids are allowed to do that, you know, and it's obviously tribal. You know, I found this brilliant article actually in the Observer last year about gangs and tribes, you know, and the skinheads and the docks in Manchester, you know, like 19th century, like with the scarves and the coats, and just like, look at this, the first gangs, and how obviously, you know, we're tribal creatures, you know, we are tribal, that's who we are. But and obviously, when you find people that have the same music as you, contemporary, so you flock to your tribe, you know.
Yeah. Was Derry a very vibrant city musically when you were growing up, Bronagh?
Yes, I mean, I was, like anything, you'd gravitate towards where your passion was, obviously, you know. And when I was very young, there was always a great tradition of singing in the city, and great tradition of music and live bands as well. You know, a lot of great musicians have come out of Derry as well. A lot of great brass musicians, the McIntyre family. Gay McIntyre, you know, hugely celebrated, brilliant clarinet player. And so it was a huge outlet for people as well. Yeah. And great, you know, sort of amateur singing societies and stuff like that went on, you know, to do great stuff. So so you would gravitate towards that if you knew it was happening. So I obviously had a passion for it at a very young age. So my mum, you know, would move us about. So, but there's always been bands, but and then obviously the Undertones, were the sort of the mecca of it all.
Yeah.
And that was a huge time in Derry when the Undertones kicked in. That was a huge, and the Troubles were very bad then as well. So they used to play in Oscars in Waterloo Street. Do you remember Oscars in Waterloo Street? And on the head. And I was, honoured 2 years ago to present them with their Legend Award from the Oh Yeah Centre in Belfast. Wonderful Stuart Bailey's brainchild in Belfast. And I was trying to describe what it was like, and the confidence that people obviously, it was so damaged, I think, by the Troubles and the ability to believe that we can do that, that things are not better from outside in a sense, and, the post-colonial lack of, confidence that people had where, think, oh, if it's getting the nod from outside, it must be all right. And I feel very strongly about that. And when the Undertones did obviously, become the band they did and got the nod and they were on top of the pops and stuff like that, it was an implosion and an explosion, and it was such a celebrated, wasn't it? It was such a huge celebration for people in the town. And Stuart asked me to present them this award, this legendary award, which was a huge honour. And I was trying to describe to them that when they used to play in the Oscars, they would play for kids under age, so do non-alcohol gigs, and that it was like a meteor coming through the roof, this band and just belly, you just were like what is that? That's what I want to do, I want to look like that, and that's what I want to do. So I was always in music, and then obviously the band broke up and too soon, I always felt, but they're back together, which is great. But no, there's always been huge music, huge garage scene.
Yeah. I mean, what about the acting then? I mean, was that a natural progression for you from music?
The acting came first. I mean, I never really thought, and I'm not saying this in any, I never thought I was a singer. I really didn't. Up until recently, my love and passion for singing was much greater than my belief that I could actually do it. And it was acting I wanted to do. It was theatre. It was Sean O'Casey. It was that world of Irish literature that I wanted to do. So when I did The Commitments, I was 17, and we had Maria Doyle on one side, Angeline Ball on the other, Glenn Hansard over here. So you're kind of thinking, well, I'm not at that, I'm not like that, and they were all incredible talents, and obviously Andrew Strong, who's a phenomenal singer. And I was told by the casting agents and Alan Parker, when I got the part, I was here in Mammy and Daddy's house in the Bogside, and I got the phone call to say I got the part. I was told that I've got the part because of my acting ability, but not my singing. I was like, all right, I won't argue with that. So I never felt confident, and I did very little singing. But that is the key word to any outlet or release. It's confidence. It really is confidence and belief that you can do it. Try. And so I did the film, and then when the movie came out, I came back to Ireland, went to Hollywood, for a couple of weeks, and was like, what's this place about? And then I says, I want to go to the Abbey. So I went to the Abbey Theatre for about 3 years and did 3 shows there. And I met Aidan Gillen there at that time. And then and the singing came much later. And I was always writing songs, sort of plonking around with the guitar. And then it was Maria and Kieran Kennedy said to me about 10 years ago, you should record your songs. You've got lovely songs. So I did the first album then. And then I went to Los Angeles 4 years ago on a wee holiday and sort of snooping about for work. And it was very quiet, very quiet time. I didn't get any work, and it was kind of started to get quite bored and quite lonely, and it was kind of like, right, I should stay really till I can stay. And I just kind of thought I really want to make a record again. So I just utilised the time and wrote the album that I've out now, and obviously there's sort of a lot of references there to America and, the gang cultures of, the Cholo Mexican gang communities. That I witnessed, a few dodgy things, whatever. So I think the older I'm getting, I'm picking up pace. I think we're like not to procrastinate and not to, don't say it anymore. Just do it now, Yeah. So that music's come a lot later, because I just didn't think it was any good.
Yeah, you mentioned there about theatre being your first love, and that was, I suppose the first time I came across you was The Commitment. Did you enjoy doing film? You still enjoy doing film?
Because
you did Nick Nickleby lately, didn't
I
you?
did, yeah. I find the creative process of making a film is so slow. It's photography. So it takes a lot of time. So, I can get very bored, and I need to just calm down. But I do enjoy it. But I love live theatre. I love live interaction with the audience. But I do enjoy it. I can still do it.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be up there with my band.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say about theatre as well, like Bronagh. I mean, like you kind of say you're kind of like Sean Casey. It was the great canon of Irish works. Have you done much work with kind of like new Irish playwrights? Are there new Irish playwrights you admire, whose work you admire?
Yes, Marina Kiar is a wonderful playwright. I've worked with Marina, and I'm a big fan of the McDonoughs as well.
Yeah.
Martin and John, and a lot of the young English playwrights as well. I worked quite a bit in the Royal Court Theatre in London. I was there last year with a new play. So it's always the subject matter that I would gravitate towards. I always keep me eye on what's going on.
Are there any roles you'd kind of give your left arm for?
Any roles that give me left arm for?
Yeah. Metaphorically speaking.
I don't know. I suppose I always know, and then I kind of, when I'm asked, I kind of don't know. Any roles that give me left arm. There's a couple of things I suppose I would love to have a go at. I really want to get. I really want to get under the sort of the older, the great O'Casey ladies that he's written, and the different parts. I'd love to get a go at those. I mean, I don't really. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. Is there any great roles? Don't know.
Yeah.
Have to think
I mean,
about
are you finding that you've been offered certain roles? Are you finding it like, I mean, as you get older, the roles are getting better, or are the roles getting worse? You've been offered.
It depends. I usually get. I do a lot of prostitutes. I play a lot of lesbians, and I usually get killed. So that's
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking for.
Maybe you need a new agent.
No, he's great. I suppose I need a straight sex symbol. That's what I need. That's what I think I'm going to voyage towards.
Yeah.
But no, again, it's always in the writing, isn't it? It's always in the writing and the passion that you would sort of gravitate towards that. But yeah, I don't really know. I suppose I'd have to sit down and think about that. Really, I think so. I suppose certain parts people have made their own, isn't it? When you see great performances and you just think, wow. So I suppose I'd love to play a proper human being, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I love the challenge, of what great writers can manifest.
Well, before I let you go, one kind of turns to music, and like last night's gig, last hours. One thing I noticed was you had a serious band up there. I mean, you'd Hopper on drums. Richie, you'd a great team. Is that a band you're going to try and keep together? Is that your band?
That's my band.
That's the band. Serious musicians.
I mean, when I was doing the record, when I was putting the record together, I thought, right, because I play drums, but I'm not a great drummer, but I love drums, and I'm a very simplistic drummer. I love Al Jackson, Otis Redding's drummer, so he would be kind of the feel that I would play or aspire to. But when I wrote the songs, I thought, right, great production is my obsession, obviously. And I just thought about the great producers that I love, and I thought about the great bands, the Motown bands, the Stax, the Muscle Shoals. And I thought, if I was going to put a dream band together, who would it be? And I thought, well, do you know what? Why don't I just ask them? And I know Graham for a long time, and I'm a huge, lover of his many instruments.
Yeah.
He doesn't just play drums, he's a very, very talented man. Conor Brady, obviously, that plays guitar, he's incredible. And Claire. So I sent the three of them, the sort of rough demos that myself and Keelan, my cousin, had done here in McGee. And they just got it. And we just rehearsed for a day in Whelan's, and then we went in and recorded it. So, I mean, it's a hard band to keep on the road because it's a big band. But, I know how good they sound, and I know people, I feel the quality of it, and and I just would love to be just going out there now and getting on a bus and going off with them for 6 months, But I know they're exceptional, and we have great fun as well, and they love it, and they're very supportive, and they're great. Yeah.
Cool. Last question then. I mean, did you enjoy the Commitments reunion? And two, I mean, are you on board for Commitments 2 that we keep hearing about?
The Commitments reunion was exactly like the film. If they had a documentary team backstage, they probably could have made commitments too. But we love each other. But it's madness.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just, you know, you've 11 divas in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And every day there's a diva moment. And
You don't do diva moments, do you? That's a diva moment.
no, I don't do diva, you know. I don't know. My sister would say, yes, you do. I try not to, I try not to. I try to do the old, the breathing, the yoga breathing. I think what's very important, I think, is the distribution of your energy. I think I try to be really aware of that. And I think, you know, if you throw a wobbler, then you haven't lined up the energy properly. And I really try and work with that. The only thing I would get panicky about is not having enough time to get ready before the show. So I went to the toilet last night and put my makeup on, and you know, you always think, oh great, you know, we'll have a band meal, you know, and hang out. You never do. So you're 10 minutes before the show, you know, you're throwing on makeup and throwing on your dress, whatever. So that can be a wee bit stressful. But no, I try not to, because then it's the aftermath. Then if you've been rude to somebody or upset somebody, so I try not to, because it's, you know, again, get over yourself. You know what I mean? You're just singing. You know, it's not a big deal.
Cool. Bronagh Gallagher, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was brilliant.